Hi, Richard Keene here once again, and again, just trying to get into the routine of posting content that hopefully people find useful. Again, I'm a professional life coach. If any of this resonates, hit like, subscribe, share it to other people. And if you want to reach out to me, R.I. Keene, Kean, the number 100 at gmail.com. That's currently the easiest way to get a hold of me. And topic I'm looking at right now is just negative self talk, which has been a struggle that I've had through years. And talking about that. Net number one, it obviously doesn't help you. Uh, Number two, it affects your body. Number three, it all this absorbs into your body. It's all stored in there. So let's say you go to a counselor, you have a counseling session or whatever, but let's just say a counseling session. And you see where the negative self talk is bad, and for a minute you shift from that. But if this is just a habit that's ingrained in you, if you grew up in an environment where other people had negative self talk about themselves and that was the only thing that was modeled for you, you have no opportunity to see another different path. Okay? So, but it doesn't change that this is very self punishing, uh, damages you, pretty dramatic, damages your energy level. It all gets stored in your body, which is hard on your body. It creates tension in your body. It can definitely result in depression or worse. So when people are trying to fix their lives or make their life better, if there's a lot of negative self-talk that's occurring, that really gets in the way. And there's ways to get around that. One, I think, is to realize it's unfair to you. Um, if you think that the practice of self-talk is actually fair, there's in some way you're agreeing that it's accurate, and so you're agreeing to being subjected to this, and that's unfair to you. It's not actually fair to you. That's I guess the number one point that I would look to share with people is if you think this is fair to you, it's not. It's not helping anything. Okay, so if it if you have a habit of it, it's a habit of thinking. It's how you're thinking. And if you think it's accurate, you may believe it's accurate. Your mind is convincing you that it's accurate. But it's not, there's not full accuracy here. You may have a very hyper self critical part of you that's hyperly critical on you, that's really controlling what's happening with your thinking, and so it's very damaging to you. So I think comment number one is that this is not fair to you. It will affect your life dramatically. Okay, and it's actually not. It's like a micro. It's a overthinking one little negative aspect about yourself and not capturing the entirety of you. It's being in a mode of being hyperly negative about yourself, which was definitely a mode that I had experienced through the years. And again, one of the books that was useful to me to highlight this negative thinking and the hyper self-critical inner critic was the Four Agreements. That one worked for me, and in my opinion, if you read it, 3 to 5 minutes every day for 6 months, it'll, you know, for me, it changed my life pretty dramatically, where I could see that inner critic being so negative and judgmental. And what I used to tell people is I started having an allergic reaction to judgment. Okay, so anytime I'm judging myself, I would have an allergic reaction to that. Like, whoa, there's that negative judgment that's just extremely poisoning to me. And the comment and you see people being very negative and very hard on themselves. And it's like, how do we get out of this? Well, number one is seeing it. And then number two is, does this seem fair? And somewhere your behavior of allowing it is agreeing that it's fair. And I'm suggesting it's not fair to you. It's not it's not appropriate. It's abusive. It's self-abusive. So that would be number one. It's not appropriate. It's extremely self-abusive. Okay. There may be an accuracy about something that's like, well, hey, I wish I could try doing this a little bit better. Well, the inner critic says things with a very harsh downward tone. Your soul or your integrity may have the exact same information, but it doesn't have that energy. Okay, so there's two sources of information. Your inner critic, which talks to you extremely harsh and with a negative downward tone. Okay, and your soul and integrity may have information, but it doesn't talk to you in an abusive way. So it talks to you in like, okay, maybe we should get up at 6 in the morning to go work out, but it talks to you in it doesn't have the negative tone. It doesn't have that hyper negative tone. It's on your side, and it's learning to become more aware of that information that's being shared with you without the tone. So you want to learn to process and pick goals or informations of how you want to be, but do that with your soul giving you the information, not this negative inner critic. So there's other parts of you other than the inner critic, and there's a wise part of you that knows this abuse is not appropriate. So we want to spend more time with that wise part of you, listening to that wise part of you, and learning to be your own best friend. People talk about that. Okay, so and it's doable and it's appropriate. And agreeing with self-abuse it's not appropriate. It's a behavior, but it's not useful, and it's a very harsh, abusive, offensive thing to be doing to yourself. And self-mastery involves, part of it not doing this, and mastering, understanding your actual own unique value, and excuse me, and making that a habit, and neurologically loading that within in your system. Okay, so if you got a lot of negative that's loaded into your system, it's in there, and we're going to neurologically rewrite that with a new habit of being correctly, emotionally kind and friendly to you and supportive, and override all that bad neurological information that's neurologically loaded into you that is punishing you. And it's hard to fix things if you can't see this. So, people tell you things like, oh, think positive about yourself. Well, all right, great, but now what? I keep thinking negative. How do I do that? Okay, so I think number one is, seeing what's happening, and making a decision like, does this seem fair? Okay, and I think a part of you will start to go, no, this doesn't seem fair. This self-abuse, this negative, it can move into like self-hatred or shame or whatever. And is this neurologically fair to you? It's not. Okay, so all that will create depression, anxiety, maybe panic attacks. Is harsh on your body. Your ability to have fun in this life is dramatically affected by that, and that's not fair. Your ability to have good functional relationships are impacted by this because you're carrying a neurological load of negativity that's punishing on you. So how can you create something when that's happening? You can only create disappointment and stress and confusion for yourself. So there is a way out. This is my explanation of a way out, and it's owed to you to learn to neurologically be kind and loving and supportive to yourself. This is appropriate and is correct and is valuable. And when you do that, this is moving into what I call like self-mastery or mastering self-love. And then when you really, really do that, you get really, really good at it. That you get good to where you're feeling good about yourself. And then if you do it good enough, you start having this feeling, abundance of feeling good about yourself, which is not a bad thing. And if everybody was walking around in the world feeling that way, that would not be a bad thing. And the level of internal strife that we would have between each other would radically drop because we're not in distress within ourselves. And what you see in the world right now is there's a lot of distress within people. And if we master having compassion about ourselves, and then when it overflows enough, then you're like, hey, I got enough. I'm doing pretty good. How can I help people? How can I share or be of value? So that's rewiring yourself into a way that's much more useful and much more beneficial to you and to everybody else. So in this craziness that we see in the world, I would all stop. This is not really complicated stuff. It's pretty simple. It's really, 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 really pretty simple. So I'm trying to suggest or talk to you that this would be a much better way that is, owed to you, to be kind to yourself. And I think it helps in other numerous ways. Okay? Thank you.